Today we're going to talk about the new documentary Netflix versus the World, so let's get started. Hey everybody, my name is Justin. I love to watch movies. If you guys love to watch movies too, you guys are in the right spot. Make sure to hit the subscribe button down below and click that bell notification for more up and coming videos. The story of a small startup that ended up fighting giants of the movie industry, warded off Amazon, and forced movie making and distribution into the digital age. First off, I wanted to say thank you to Sean Cawthon for allowing me a screener for this documentary. I was really excited to check it out. For me, this is a very nostalgic documentary. Growing up with renting DVDs from Blockbuster and Hollywood Video, and then eventually streaming movies on Netflix, I was excited to see the startup from Netflix that happened in the late 90s, and then eventually fought off Blockbuster and became this big, huge digital streaming service that is now competing with Disney Plus and Hulu and Amazon Prime and HBO Max. It has pushed movie viewing into a digital age. For someone that rented DVDs for the longest time, I was about the physical copies of the movies. I always wanted to rent the movies. But Netflix happened, and I loved the access of the movies right there on my TV, and I could watch whatever I wanted. This is a very informative documentary. It talks about the upcomings of the video rental store, what kind of was an inspiration for Netflix, where people started to rent VHSs, and it was all new to them, and they had to have events to bring people in. And then we had DVDs, and then they had come up with the idea of what if we had DVDs that were shipped into your mail, and then you could mail it back to get new DVDs. And for the longest time, that's how people rented movies. Not my family. We lived behind a Hollywood Video, so we always just drove to Hollywood Video, bought their previously viewed movies, and rented movies as well. I don't think I ever got a DVD from Netflix, but I knew a lot of people that did. And then you had Blockbuster, who did the same thing, and they had total access to where you could return the DVD to the store and get a new one as well. They were fighting with Blockbuster. They had this price war. They kept lowering their prices to compete with Blockbuster. I remember going to Blockbuster Friday nights and renting a video game, getting candy, renting a movie for the weekend, and watching how Blockbuster ran and competing with Netflix. It was very nostalgic. I enjoyed the moments of where in the early 2000s, the mid 2000s, they were in a war. And watching that war unfold in the documentary was told very well from interviews from previous Netflix and Blockbuster employees, people who ran the business, getting their insights on this war and the digital age that was starting to happen was very interesting to see their perspective and how at times they thought that Netflix was going to fold as well. Another aspect I loved about the documentary is watching how Netflix's business mindset grew. Watching them going from returning DVDs in the mail to competing with Blockbuster, and then eventually starting their streaming service, which I think the first time for me I started streaming something on Netflix was 2011. I remember binging How I Met Your Mother on Netflix, and then we had our first big original show on Netflix, which was House of Cards, and then we got Orange is the New Black. And people were very confused that, Netflix, this is the place that I get my DVDs from. Why are we having new original content? But the original content has taken off. We got things that are so good on Netflix like Stranger Things and Orange is the New Black and House of Cards as well. My channel has been successful this year because of Netflix, and it's crazy that just 15 years ago, streaming service was not a thing, and now it's just really taken off. This documentary is about an hour and 44 minutes long, and it has a really good pacing, starting off before Netflix, starting off with the inspiration, slowly building the company and what it took, and then fighting off Blockbuster and Walmart and Amazon as well. And then eventually starting that streaming service, and even kind of touching a little bit upon Disney Plus and HBO Max and Amazon Prime and all those different things that are coming out now, and how the world is now in a streaming digital age. It covers all the different parts of Netflix. I thought it was very informative. Things I didn't know much about Netflix because, like I said, I didn't really start getting into Netflix till 2010, 2011. And so I didn't know it was a thing back in the late 90s and getting the DVDs early in the 2000s. I didn't know much about that. And so it was cool to see the earlier days of Netflix and coming up with the names and, you know, how much subscribers they had and all the different things. I think it was really well put together. The documentary also has some very engaging and captivating animations throughout, you know, kind of the side things where they're telling the story and they're kind of playing it out with some animation. It was fun to watch those moments as well. Overall, Netflix versus the world is very relevant today. Netflix is a huge company and it is competing against so many things. And I think Netflix has the edge. I think throughout the years, Netflix has had the edge. Certain streaming services are getting very close, but with the amount of content that is being pumped out from Netflix and the way that they're always changing, they will always be relevant, and they were relevant years prior. If you are a fan of Netflix and you've appreciated their company throughout the years and you like documentaries, I highly recommend checking out Netflix versus the World. It's a very informative documentary with a lot of great interviews and a good pacing that shows the company throughout its early days up until its current time. Surprisingly, it is on Amazon Prime, of all places. You would think that it would be on Netflix, but it is on Amazon Prime if you would like to check it out. Thank you again, Sean, for allowing me for the screener for this documentary. I had a good time with it. I'm going to go ahead and give Netflix versus the World a B+. Thank you guys for your review for Netflix versus the World. Check it out on Amazon Prime. Very informative documentary about Netflix. Stay tuned for more up and coming content. My name is Just Watch Movies, and you guys stay classy, YouTube.